Welcome in. My name is Garret Price, and I am so excited to be here today. This is our kickoff show, and what better night to do it than on the kickoff of the National Football League? We have the Rams, the Super Bowl champs from last year. We have the Bills, and I don't know about you guys, but it seems like everywhere I look, people are picking the Bills to be the Super Bowl champs. So I'm excited about this game. We've just finished up the first half, going into the second half. We've got tons of stuff. We're going to obviously be talking about the game going on tonight, but also we're going to be talking a lot of this from a fantasy angle. Really excited to break these things down. We have two awesome guests coming in tonight. It's going to be a great show. I'm really excited about it. But I want to get to the thing that I think is probably the biggest story out of everything from a fantasy landscape, and that's Cam Akers. All right. Cam Akers coming out as a rookie, people were in love. Now, granted, there were some times that he looked a little off. He had the injuries, the rib injury, start off a little slow, but he had a couple national primetime games that were just huge. He blew up, right? Everybody's talking about how he should be an RB1 the following season. Everybody's hyping up his draft value. And I was one of the ones that I really enjoy. If you don't follow Dynasty Nerds, that's fine. I know a lot of people don't know about Dynasty Nerds yet. You will. You'll catch up. But one of the things that we do a lot of is rookie scouting. We look at these guys from a college perspective. We look at their ability. We look at what they do in school. And then we take and we apply that into, what we think they're going to do at the next level, not just from an NFL perspective, but from a fantasy perspective. And one of the biggest issues that I had with Cam Akers was I wasn't sure how well he was able to read defenses, how well he was able to read the hole. And so I had some concerns there, but he looked good. I had to admit, he looked good. That being said, he then comes into year two, tears his Achilles. It was devastating. So then we get into this year, and everyone is kind of expecting him to be the starter. They're expecting him to be the guy. And rightfully so. They used a second-round pick on him. Last year, Sean McVay called him a war daddy before the season even started, which whatever that means. And, we expected him to be the main guy. But all offseason, they were just, giving us these little hints that, hey, Darrell Henderson is going to absolutely be involved. He's absolutely going to be a part of the equation. And that's exactly what we're seeing here tonight. This game, Henderson is leading the way in this backfield, 8 carries for 35 yards. And he's been taking a bulk of the work. So far, we've only seen 2 carries for Cam Akers, and he doesn't have any yards. And as I'm talking, touchdown here for the Buffalo Bills. That puts them up 17-10. Josh Allen, 2 interceptions on the night. Only one of them was really his fault, but from a fantasy perspective, doesn't really matter. But he has 2 touchdowns now. This puts the Bills up 17-10. So we'll get back to Josh Allen. We will definitely talk about Josh Allen, this Bills offense, what this means from a fantasy lens. But for Cam Akers, many people were counting on him as a running back 2 this year. They weren't sure about how he was going to look with the Achilles, but they were really hoping that he could be the team, a fantasy team's RB2 this year. So put in the chat your thoughts on Cam Akers. Is this something that you are worried about? Is this something that's, hey, he's coming back from this Achilles, it's going to take some time, but we saw him already come back. We saw it in the playoffs, and he looked fine. He looked okay. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. Now, let's go over to the Buffalo side of things, because there's a lot of storylines on the Buffalo side of things. Josh Allen, he's been QB1 for the past 2 years in a row. It's looking like he's on track to be QB1 once again. He's got the 2 passing touchdowns. He's looked really sharp. Like I said, he had that 1 interception to Troy Hill, but other than that, he's been really good. He's been really good. So no worries there. Stephon Diggs looks like he's still his old self as well. He got a new contract this offseason. He's going to be there long term. He's been really solid in that offense. So far, he's put up 7 receptions for 69 yards. So in those PPR leagues, he's doing well for you. One of the biggest guys, though, that was debated this offseason was Gabe Davis. And I'll be honest, I didn't really fully know how to feel about Gabe Davis. I wasn't the highest on him, but as the offseason went on, I kind of started believing the hype a little bit. You look at how much this offense passes, how much they throw the ball, how they prioritize throwing the ball. And, Gabe Davis was amazing in that playoff game. So why wouldn't that start to translate? The targets should be there. We see that, Sanders isn't there anymore. Beasley isn't there. Guys that typically took up a larger target share. So if the targets are going to be there, the potential for touchdowns is going to be there. Why wouldn't he? So I started, I was pretty lukewarm. I got to admit, I wish I could say I was like, yeah, I was in on this guy the whole time. Gabe Davis is my man. But so far, he's looked pretty good as well. 3 rushing attempts so far for 41 yards and that touchdown early on. The rushing attack, because running backs are obviously so important for fantasy football purposes. The running back so far, Devin Singletary has led the way. 7 carries for 44 yards. He's also done a little bit in the receiving game, 2 receptions for 14 yards. And then second was actually Zach Moss, who many, including myself, were kind of willing to leave for dead. We weren't sure that he was really going to be involved because of James Cook. James Cook is a guy that they got in the second round this past season, and I was pretty surprised by that. I didn't, I do this thing on dynastynerds.com, and it's called the Nerd Score. And myself, Jared Wackerly, we are the 2 guys that kind of spearhead this, put it together, and basically what the Nerd Score is it's a film grade. So we go in, we watch too much tape. I guess you can't really watch too much tape, but we watched a lot of tape on these players, and I didn't have the highest score for Singletary, for James Cook, but thinking that he could be used as a passing weapon in this offense. So far, he has not been used a lot in this game. Just has the 1 carry so far, and he fumbled on it. So kind of that Kareem Hunt, the very first game, primetime fumbling. But we haven't necessarily seen what happened next for Kareem Hunt, where he had legitimately the best game of his career after that. So we're going to kind of have to wait and see how they want to utilize James Cook, how they want to utilize him in this offense. But I really thought they would kind of get somebody to go between the tackles, maybe in the red zone, so Josh Allen wasn't taking up so many hits. Peter Shaver in the Restream YouTube comments over here says, sell Singletary. So it depends on if you're talking from a redraft perspective or a dynasty perspective. I'm a dynasty guy, so most of my leagues are dynasty leagues. And in dynasty, any middling running back, I'm probably willing to sell just because their shelf life is so short. He's already had several years in the league. This is his 4th season. They could easily, with this next year's class coming in, I would not be shocked at all to see the Buffalo Bills go back to the well, take an additional running back, and get a little bit of thunder and lightning. But in Dynasty, yes, absolutely, I would be willing to sell Devin Singletary. In redraft, and you said here it's Dynasty, so that answers your question. But yeah, in redraft, I'm kind of holding on because I don't think that they are going to get away from Devin Singletary. I don't think James Cook is super effective between the tackles. I think they're going to need somebody that give them a little bit of juice there. And I think he's going to be the guy because I don't think that Zach Moss is the answer. And I'm just not sure that James Cook is at this point either. So going back to the game here, we're 17-10 here, middle of the third quarter. And once again, we still have Darrell Henderson out there. So really interesting. Fantasy Ghost says I should change my username to Cam Akers. It would mean the same thing. And yes, he has been an absolute ghost tonight. Jared Wackerly bringing up, and I was actually just going to talk about this, Allen Robinson. The narrative around Allen Robinson his entire career has been he's a good player, he's a talented player, and when he's healthy, he can put up monster numbers. But one, he's had a harder time staying healthy, and two, he's just had so many bad quarterbacks. But still, we've seen him put up wide receiver one seasons for fantasy football. We've seen him do it. So we really, we were wondering that, is he washed, or is he at the point where, he can bounce back with a good quarterback, the best quarterback that he has ever had in Matthew Stafford? Well, it's one game. It's a very small sample size, not even a full game. We are halfway into the third quarter. Don't want to overreact too much, but so far, just a single target for our man, Allen Robinson. So Von Miller out there. You're right. Better boss. Yes, he is out there just dominating against his old club. You love to see it. I'm not sure I love the haircut, though. If you guys have not seen the picture yet, he's got this like Illuminati triangle thing going on the back of his head. So it is pretty fascinating to see Von Miller out there, new haircut, new team. One player that we haven't really touched on yet, and it's partly because I don't know that we need to, from a fantasy perspective, need to talk about this player too terribly much. But it's Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, he set the fantasy football world on fire last year. Absolute fire. Triple crown. He led the league in receptions. He led the league in receiving yards, and he led the league in receiving touchdowns. Absolute monster. Looks like he's picking up right where he left off from last year. So Cooper Kupp, if you were able to get him on your fantasy team this year, or if you've continued to have him on your dynasty team, it looks like it's going to be a lot of the same, much to the detriment of guys like Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson, who's not even able to play tonight, which has been a little bit of a disappointment. I would have liked to have seen him out there. Third-year guy out of Florida, a little bit of an older prospect when he came out, but he's never really broken out, but he's just been really solid. And it looks like this offense might be missing him a little bit so far. But lots of things coming up on the show. In fact, we are actually going to be bringing on a guest here in just a couple minutes. Michael Bauer, he is the host of Dynasty Rewind, a good friend of mine. So he will be coming on here in just a little bit. We'll be talking a little bit about some of the fantasy things that we're looking at for this year, guys that we like as far as top quarterbacks, top running back, top wide receiver, that kind of stuff. Rookie of the year, which is really interesting in a class where might not be as strong as some other classes, to see who his perspective will be on rookie of the year, favorite sleeper for this season, and a guy that he might think will be a little bit of a disappointment. We might even touch on his beloved Philadelphia Eagles. That's right. And then around 11 o'clock, so at about the halfway point in the show, we will be bringing in Dennis Bennett. Dennis Bennett, a good friend of mine, was actually the first one to reach out to me in this fantasy space. Really connected, great guy, at Culture Coach on Twitter. He'll be coming on as well. And we'll be talking some of these same things, maybe even talk a little bit MVP, look at some of the lines as far as the favorites to win MVP. So we'll be looking at that as well. So a lot of good things coming up, a lot of good guests. We are now back with the Buffalo Bills. They have the ball back, still 17-10 here. Penalty to start the drive, never what you want to see. So what I would love to do here right before Michael Bauer comes on is, if there is a player that I am in on more than any other player this year, I have talked about him probably ad nauseum, and that guy is Michael Pittman Jr. I absolutely love Michael Pittman Jr. this year. He is one of my favorite. He was one of my favorite offseason buys. He's gotten a lot more expensive, but I'm all in on him. I will talk about him more in just a minute because we have the great Michael Bauer joining us here on the Bettor Sports Network. Michael Bauer, how you doing, buddy?
Garret, how are you tonight? Great to see you again, like always.
Absolutely, man. So, for those of you that don't know, good old Mike over here and I, we have a little bit of history together.
We do.
The Dynasty Rewind was a show that I was a part of when it first started. I'm not there anymore. It is sad, but I still, for the most part, some of my closest friends in the fantasy space are hosts on that show. So love what you guys are doing. Mike, go ahead and plug your show real quick.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, Garret pretty much summed it up. We are the Dynasty Rewind, pretty much all Dynasty all the time. Although lately I've been getting a lot of start-sit questions. I will help you build a roster, but you got to set your own lineups, man. Garret, you've played with me in fantasy before. I'm not really good at setting lineups. I admit my faults there. We have a great time. We have a great community. I love it. Trying to be as big as the Dynasty nerds, but slow but steady. And Garret, we still miss you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to say this before he has an opportunity to, because Michael loves to bring this up. But Mike, in fact, in one of our first leagues we ever played together, we are facing off in the championship game. And my team is stacked, like stacked. Such a good team. I always play super flex where I focus in on quarterbacks for the most part. Awesome team in the championship. All my guys are just balling. I'm crushing everybody every week. Mike somehow makes it to the championship game. He's like limping, like three-legged dog, and like two of those three legs are injured as well. And he is like limping into this championship game. That said, he had no starting quarterbacks for this championship game. Zero. He beat me. He beat me in the championship game with no quarterbacks.
Christian McCaffrey.
It's true. Christian McCaffrey balled out.
In his prime, we're talking CMC in the year that made him what he is. Just absolutely went off. I tried. I traded for Kyle Allen the week before, and then he got benched for somebody else like Will Grier or something like that.
Yep.
I tried my hardest. I gave first-round pick for Kyle Allen because I really wanted to win the ship. But here we are. And that, I believe that league did not pay anything out either.
Yeah, we got stiffed. We were in the ship, and I don't think we got any money out of that.
Nothing. Bragging rights. I got bragging rights. I try not to bring it up too much, though, Garret. To be honest, it's hard because.
But you got a good story out of it, and that's the important part.
It just really does show how fluky this game can be too.
Right.
We've seen that before. Loaded teams making it to the championship, and somebody that barely squeaks in the playoff just beats them. So, this game can be fluky, but it's fun. I love it.
Dan Edwards is asking us, is it time to sell high on Darrell Henderson? I'm assuming you've been watching this game. Would you sell high right now on Darrell Henderson in Dynasty or redraft, either one?
So I've been catching up a little bit. I've been up here doing some podcasting stuff. When everybody's asleep, Garret, that's when you got to get your work in.
I understand that.
I think that's a little premature. It depends on where your team is at. I mean, did I see correctly? Cam Akers, is he active tonight? I did not.
He is active in theory, but he has 2 carries on the game.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's time to hold on to Darrell Henderson a little bit and roll with him a little bit. Also, I was seeing Zach Moss getting some run. Is that true?
Zach Moss is getting run. Singletary is getting the bulk of the carries.
Okay. I did see
the most carries
early where Zach Moss was getting targets and he was running. I was like, what is this? What is happening? But I know Darrell Henderson's one of those guys where he's a little confusing to me. I've been telling people to stay away from the Rams backfield all off season.
Sure.
I'm sure you guys have too. It's just been confusing. The Miami backfield, Philadelphia backfield could end up being that way too with Trey Sermon there now. We don't know. But it depends. Look, here's the thing. I'm saying hold. If somebody wows you with an offer, like if somebody came and said, Garrett, I will give you a 23 first round pick right now for Daryl Henderson. You're going to take that, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
You're giving me a first round pick for Henderson. And you know what? People might be willing to do that.
they will.
Especially if you have Cam Akers and now you're like, crap. What do I do? I think it's going to be a lot of this all year. I think it'll be a hot hand approach, honestly. It'll be is
For
Henderson
sure.
playing well? Let's let him get some run. Is Cam Akers playing well? Let him get some run. And I think it's going to be really tough to know who to start on a regular basis. If you can give me 2 seconds or more, if you can give me 2 seconds or more for Daryl Henderson, I'm probably taking that. Anytime you have those guys that are kind of those middling running backs, and you can capitalize when their value's high and invest that into tight ends, receivers that are going to give you a little more longevity. It's never a bad thing. So, but Dan, you do say you're a contender. I understand your hesitancy. So I wouldn't necessarily be looking to trade for a picks right now, being a contender. But I would see if there's another position of need, I would be willing to deal him for one of those positions of need. But if you're thin at running back already, then just hold on to him and use him as a spot starter during bye weeks with injuries, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, Game Makers has shown injury issues coming off the Achilles. They might be nursing him back in. Kyron Williams is there too. So we really don't know. Also, I tell people, look, it's week one. We're like, what, in the third quarter here? Let's not overreact too much. It's early. But then again, people are going to do that. They're going to throw offers at you. Um,
Sure.
Garrett, you're absolutely right. If you're contending, I don't want picks. I want a player that's going to help me. So um, take a tier down player. This is what we've been telling people to do. If you think somebody is a tier down from Daryl Henderson, but they're going to be more consistent in their points, tier down to a running back and then get draft capital on top of it.
I have
That's
no
what I
issue
would
with that.
recommend doing.
I have no issue with that at all. All right. I want to pick your brain a little bit on some players for this upcoming year. Is there a guy that you feel really confident, and maybe it's the guy playing right now, that will be the quarterback one this year? If you had to pick somebody other than Jalen Hurts, of course, we know how much you love Jalen Hurts.
That's really hard to say because I have a feeling about Aaron Rodgers this year.
Oh,
I really
okay.
think but I don't think he's the guy. I just feel like he's gonna smash. I feel like he's top 5. I think it's Josh Allen, though. I
Okay.
really do. Look at the weapons that he has around him. Also, I did see Khalil Shakir was a surprise and active today.
Yeah.
So I know fantasy Twitter was up in arms about that. You could tell when football starts, by the way, because my notifications were just going absolutely ballistic. But how could it not be Josh Allen? I think with the commitment to the running game that they're having, bringing in James Cook, Zach Moss getting run, Devin Singletary is still there. By the way, love Devin Singletary as a flex, everybody. Fantastic flex play. He could run. The guy could throw it anywhere across the yard. How could it not be Josh Allen? Now, I would like to say Patrick Mahomes, but that wide receiver core is in a state of flux, we could say. Juju's coming
Sure.
in. I think MVS is going to have a good year too. But I just like the way that Buffalo's solidified their wide receiver room, adding Shakir and their running game. And I don't hate Jalen Hurts, the man. I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm always angry about something. It's just what we do.
Yeah, I know he's been a trendy pick for some people as
Mhm.
far as a potential top quarterback this year. And you're right, Josh Allen's a hard one. He's been quarterback one to the past 2 seasons. And I think what really sealed it for me was that James Cook was the running back that they had selected. Had they selected Zamir White, Brian Robinson, Isaiah
Isaiah
Spiller,
Spiller. Yeah.
yeah, had they taken somebody like that, I would have said maybe they aren't going to try to use Josh Allen as much in the running game down by the goal line, because that's what really puts him from, top 5 guy to the top guy, is just how good he is at running the football, especially inside the red zone there. But when they took James Cook, it kind of told me that we're okay with it. We're okay with him running the football down there. In fact, we want to give him another weapon to potentially use in the receiving game on third downs, different things like that. Now, they haven't used him much tonight. We'll see if that evolves over the course of the year. But That's kind of what that told me, and I think that there's a good chance that he once again repeats as the quarterback one overall. What about running back one?
Is there a, everyone hates the tight end position, but I'm starting to hate the running back position more and more. Gone are the days of the bell cow. Remember, we could just chalk in CMC, Zeke, Dalvin Cook, Saquon. Like, these are your top guys. And now it's like, it could be Aaron Jones. It could be Dameon Pierce. By the way, calm down, everyone, on Dameon Pierce. It could be Breece Hall.
I would say I don't think it can be Dameon Pierce.
I mean, stranger things have happened. The Eagles won a Super Bowl once. Stranger things have happened. Running back one, that's hard. Saquon says that he could be the best running back in the NFL, and I'd love to believe in him as a Penn State fan, but the Giants line is terrible. For me, I'm going with Dalvin Cook. I think the Minnesota Vikings need to lean on their running game a little bit more. I know they have Justin Jefferson. People are high on Irv Smith. Adam Thielen is there. Kirk Cousins can sling it, but new coach coming in, new system. Lean on your stud. Let him go. He can do everything. And here's the thing. Now, Garrett, I heard about Alexander Mattison out of your mouth before anybody else's. But Alexander Mattison, when he's in the game, there's just a big difference between him and Dalvin Cook. It's a step down. If you look at Alexander Madison's splits, he plays better when no one sees it coming. When he's starting a game, they got his number. He's not the same guy. So I think it's going to be Dalvin Cook. I'm pretty confident in that, but no, I won't put money on it. Sorry.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little risky. Not risky as far as talent, but a little risky as far as health. I'm gonna say Christian McCaffrey once again becomes the guy that we all remember as that stud receiver. Well, it's partly because he's such a good receiver that it makes him such a good and talented running back as well. But the guy could absolutely put up 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving this year. So I'm absolutely feeling like we could see that happen again. Baker Mayfield, I know people don't love Baker Mayfield, but it is the best quarterback that he's played with. I get Cam Newton was better in his prime, but the I keep wanting to say Cam Akers. It's because the Rams are on. We're watching them. Speaking of the game, real quick, pause in this. Maybe Zach Moss will be RB1. Guy already has 5 catches now for Gabe Davis with a big play. There you go. But Zach Moss, 5 receptions for 20 yards. So he's being used in the passing game all of a sudden. The role that we thought James Cook would have. Apparently, Zach Moss is saying, I am not dead. I am still alive. I like, if I could on the air use the gif of like the Undertaker, reaching out from the coffin, and that's Zach Moss right now, basically. But going back to the running back one conversation, I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have the best quarterback that he has had ever in his career. The offensive line is still a concern, but you have some good receiving weapons. The offense has been under the same regime for a while now. So I think we could finally see him stay healthy, hopefully. And if so, I think he will return as the running back one overall. Let's move down to receiver. Who do you got as your top scoring receiver this year?
There's some change in the wide receiver realm. I'd love to say a guy like Tyreek Hill if he was still with Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? According to Twitter, a couple months ago, it was going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I just love how people overreact to this stuff, don't you?
I do too. But I do love Amon-Ra too. So,
I love Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. I mean,
I have a ton of shares from the rookie drafts, but you're right. It did get to a point this offseason where people were expecting him to do the same thing he did the last 5-6 weeks of the season for the entirety of this year. And we know that's just not realistic.
I'm going to go with Jamar Chase.
Okay.
I mean, how could you not? And I got to ask you this, as a Browns fan, what's it like seeing Joe Burrow play for the Bengals? That's got to...
the funny thing is, as good as he's been, and he's been fantastic, former Ohio State guy. Speaking of Josh Allen's rushing ability, Josh Allen just scores a rushing touchdown. We talked about why he could be the number one quarterback overall again. They didn't sign that big back, and there we go. Josh Allen scoring a rushing touchdown. But as good as Joe Burrow's been, and he played at Ohio State before going to LSU, and it hurts seeing him in another jersey. I think he's a fantastic player. He has actually not beaten the Browns yet.
Really?
He has not. Or I should say this. He at least never beat Baker. I'm trying to remember if there was a game where Baker didn't play that the Bengals won, but I believe that they have been 0-2 against the Browns the past 2 seasons.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is pretty fascinating. But if they did win one, for some reason Baker wasn't playing or Burrow wasn't playing, one of the two. But yeah. So yeah, that has been a interesting part of it. But you're right, Joe Burrow's been absolutely fantastic, and
yes.
I would love to have him as my quarterback.
But Jamar Chase is my guy for wide receiver 1, for sure.
I mean,
tough one for you, I think.
It's really tough because I think there's 3 guys that are all really compelling arguments for wide receiver 1 this season. You have a guy like Jamar Chase, who you just mentioned, fantastic rookie season. By the way, they improved their offensive line, but you do have other guys there, and T. Higgins could emerge even more, and Tyler Boyd's still there. They could run the football more with Joe Mixon. It's tough to say. You have Cooper Kupp, who is an absolute great pick of somebody that we've already seen do it. We're watching him in the game right now. He's still putting up numbers once again. He's already got a touchdown. But my pick is actually, I'm going to the same team that you picked for your running back. I'm going to pick for my receiver. I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson.
All right.
I really, really like what they've done this offseason as far as bringing Kevin O'Connell in, everything that we've been hearing. Justin Jefferson even said, I thought this was a hilarious clip. He was like, I always wondered how Cooper Kupp got so open. And then I saw this offense and I was like, oh, that's how he got so open, And so I think we're going to see really good things from him this year. And it's no diss to Adam Thielen, who I still think has some juice left. I still think can be a force in this offense. But Justin Jefferson, talent-wise, is absolutely fantastic. And if they're going to throw the ball more and be more effective throwing the football, I think he could absolutely be the wide receiver 1 on this team, obviously. But in the NFL, for fantasy football purposes, I think he could be the top guy.
All right. Love it.
All right, last one. As far as this goes, I do have a couple other little questions to get you, and then we'll get you out of here. Tight end 1. There's really only like 2 or 3 guys you could pick, right? Who is it for you?
Mark Andrews.
Okay. He's going to repeat?
I think so. He's just so effective with his targets. And the funny thing is, if you look at his snap share, it is a lot lower than you think. The amount of snaps that he plays. So what he does when he's on the field, he's heavily targeted. And yes, I know Isaiah Likely is there, and he's going to be, he's the second coming of Mark Andrews now, apparently. But all Mark Andrews does is he just goes out there on a weekly basis and ball out. And I hate when people say Lamar Jackson can't throw. Is it the prettiest looking ball? Absolutely not. But he gets where it needs to be, throws the ball pretty hard. I think the Ravens offense is going to look pretty good overall this year. I mean, unfortunately, Garrett, you guys have to play against them twice, and they got a damn good defense too. But I love Mark Andrews, and he's a guy that if I have him anywhere, I am not selling him unless somehow my team is terrible around him. But to acquire him right now is not easy either. So you have to do some value digging at the tight end position if you don't have one of those top guys and just kind of look elsewhere. So if you have Mark Andrews, I think you're going to be good. I mean, it's close though. I think him and Kelsey are going to be like neck and neck. I think it's going to be really close.
Yeah, and I actually have Kelsey this year as my top guy, and I think it's purely just going to be from a stupid amount of targets, just an absolute stupid amount of targets. He was the top guy for 5 years in a row up until last season, so we've seen the pedigree of being that good. So it would not be a surprise at all for it to be him. But I think those are the only 2 that you can really legitimately say. I know that there's a chance that Kyle Pitts could be that guy. And I like Pitts a lot. I really do. But I
too.
just don't see this year with Marcus Mariota being able to put up those kind of numbers. But we'll see.
Kittle.
Well, he's already hurt. He might not even play this week.
Yeah. In all fairness, CMC's already hurt too. Garrett, by the way, he is on the injury report with the shin injury.
Well, it's like a cut.
That's true. Yeah. Plus, here's the thing. People are asking me about Kittle. Could he be a tight end one? Someone had asked me this. I don't think so with Trey Lance there. Until I see Trey Lance really target the tight end, because a lot of these mobile quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson aside, they don't target their tight ends a lot. They either bomb the ball down the field or they run. And someone asked me, can Dallas Goedert be a tight end one? Yes, I think he can. Not a top 5 tight end. I would have him somewhere like around tight end 7 or 8 ish. It's going to be a lot of targets to go around in Philadelphia, so he can't get them all.
All right. Dan mentions that he picked Andrews this week on Prize Picks, smashed the over for 66.5 receiving yards. Would you smash the over there as well?
Oh my God, yeah. On Andrews, absolutely. I think that game's not going to be close either. I mean, I know I saw people calling it a revenge game. Joe Flacco played for the Ravens a long time ago, man.
It was, but it was his last real gig.
Yeah,
I know he was in Denver for a minute, but it was his last real, and that's where he was. If you think of Joe Flacco, you're thinking of him with the Ravens. You're not thinking of him anywhere else, probably.
I think of him as an Eagle because he grew up an Eagles fan. We had him for a preseason, and he's like, "It's my dream to play here." And then Harry Roseman traded him back to the Jets. He's like, "Oh, thanks for coming. All right, back to New York with you."
Well, see ya. Oh, did we just get another turnover in this game? That was absolutely what could not happen for the Rams. Down 14 points. Matthew Stafford just threw an interception to Jordan Poyer there. Not good.
To be honest with you, Garrett, too, this is why I was thinking Cooper Kupp, but I know Matthew Stafford had that lingering elbow injury.
Sure.
I don't think he threw all summer. So it was like, I'm thinking Cooper Kupp. And I'm like, you know what? I know Burrow's healthy. I know the rapport he has with Chase. We just don't know what Stafford's going to be yet until we see it. There you go. In all fairness, throughout his history too, Stafford has shown that he could make some boneheaded throws like any quarterback can. But I still do think Stafford, people are like, oh, sell Stafford in Dynasty. Man, give me Stafford. I'll take him. I'm willing to take the risk. As a quarterback 2 right now, just until I know what the elbow is, I don't want him as my quarterback 1 or even quarterback 3, but I'm willing to roster him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to our little game here.
Sure.
Rookie of the year, but for fantasy purposes. Now, I don't care what the NFL says, but who's the one rookie that's going to ball out this year, and all fantasy managers are going to be like, dang, I should have taken that guy. Who's that player this year?
Well, if you ask Twitter, it's going to be Isaiah Pacheco or Damian Pierce or something like that. I think it's going to be Breece Hall, and I know that's kind of a chalky take. Breece Hall at the 101 is easy. It could be him. It could even be a guy like Chris Olave. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. But I think it's Breece Hall. I know Robert Saleh said that he thinks Michael Carter's the guy. We all know what coach speak is. Once Breece Hall gets on the field, I don't think it's this week, though. I don't think he has a good week this week against the Ravens. Tough defense.
Right.
First game. I think after that, he just starts picking up ahead of steam and just keeps going from there. So Breece Hall, but Chris Olave is my honorable mention.
We're pretty much in lockstep here. I also have Breece Hall as still the guy. The tape was so good. It might take him a little bit, and we see that a lot out of rookie running backs. Most of them don't have monster first or second weeks, and it's for the most part it's somewhat of a timeshare. And then we see as the season goes on, then they take more and more of the workload. I think that's gonna be what happens here. Michael Carter is still a fine player.
I agree.
He's good pass catching back. They seem to like him, but he can't do all of the things that Breece Hall can do. Breece Hall is on another level. So then I will go with him. But if I had an honorable mention, I would probably then go with Sky Moore as my other one. I really, really like Sky Moore. Like what he showed as just a junior. came out, which is really rare for a guy to be a first or second round pick from a non-Power 5 conference as an underclassman. It's only happened 3 times since 2000. We had Brashad Perriman and Devontae Adams. Those are the only other 2 guys to come out as underclassmen from a non-Power 5 conference to get taken in the top 2 rounds. So pretty decent company there. I know Brashad Perriman's career was up and down, but Devontae Adams is obviously otherworldly. So I love what he could do, and I love that offense. So I'm really excited about him. We had a couple more, but I don't want to keep you here too long. I know it's getting late, and
I'm old.
And what's that?
I'm old. I gotta go to bed soon.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you on too long because I know you and we could talk for hours on here. But I want you to get your beauty sleep. I know you're a hardworking man and you're up early. But anything else you wanna tell the fine folks out there before you get out of here?
Not much. Come hang out with us if you want. Just follow us on Twitter. Head on over to our YouTube. Content uploaded every day. And if you're not listening to me for advice, Garrett over here is the man. Garrett, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I'm available anytime you need me, unless the Eagles are playing on Thursday night.
I wouldn't do that to you, man. I would let you watch your Eagles and cheer Jalen Hurts on to victory.
Look, it's the no excuses tour. He has the entire season to prove me wrong. Right?
We shall see.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
We shall see, man.
Happily wrong. Either way, if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, my favorite team gets better. So either way, I win.
See, now my producer's telling me that we should bring you on for Eagles Texans Thursday Night Football. He wants you on, man.
You know what? That's fine. As long as you have a button where if I curse, you can do the beep. You know what I mean?
I think there's a slight delay, so I think we should be okay.
Yeah, you know what? If you want me to come on, if it's like a 15, 20-minute thing, I will gladly do that.
Maybe we'll try to finagle it over halftime if that works out.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. That's fine. Garrett, for you, I'm available, all right?
Look at this guy. What a champ. Michael Bauer, host of the Dynasty Rewind. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Garrett.
All right. Well, that is Michael Bauer. Great guy, great host. Really appreciate him coming on. Quick little recap of what's going on Monday Night Football. It went from this tight game at halftime to it's a blowout. It's a blowout in an opening night unless the Rams can pull out a miracle. They are down 21 points. 21 points at this point. Big play to Stephon Diggs. So before we get into anything else, and guys, we have lots of fun stuff to get through. Lots of fun stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to be breaking down this game. We're going to be talking about other fantasy football related topics. But we actually have a box break that we are going to do. And somebody is going to get to win a dope autographed item. If I'm understanding this correctly, I'll let my producers correct me. But I believe that we have a super awesome autographed item that you could win on the air here right now. And I'm supposed to tell you guys that whatever caller I pick as far as caller number blank will win. So it's a signed jersey. It's a signed jersey that you could win. All right. So get your phones ready. All you have to do is write in the app. Just hit the call button. That's all you got to do. All right. So I'm going to say a number. I know everyone is waiting with bated breath. All right. I'm going to say a number, caller number blank, and then it's going to be go. Okay. So we are going to be picking caller number 13. Ready, go. All right. Caller number 13 will get the autographed jersey here. All right. I'll have to have my producers help to tell me when we get caller number 13 because I have no idea how that part works. I'm brand new to this, but I'm loving it. Loving Bettor Sports Network, loving what they're doing. If you guys have not seen any of their shows yet, they have been fantastic. Tons of different stuff from DFS to betting to all kinds of stuff. So Loaf saying it's a fun show. Loaf, I appreciate it, man. Fantasy Ghost saying I'm playing against Josh Allen in 5 of my 9 leagues. Oh, that hurts. 3 passing touchdowns, rushing TD. Yeah, this is not the week to be playing against Josh Allen. So we are going to be looking at caller 15. Caller 15. So at this point, we're going to go to break real quick, and then I will be right back, and we will be getting into Dennis Bennett. Dennis Bennett will be on here at 11 o'clock, and I'll be talking some of my sleeper picks for this upcoming season.
Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Bettor Sports Network.
By the way, if you are a commissioner out there, if someone does not pay, that's on you at the end of the day. It sucks. That's why you have to get the money early, because if they don't pay, it's on you. You don't change the prize. A winner shouldn't be impacted because unfortunately you messed up as commissioner. And I've been caught with this before. I've made this mistake. It sucks, and I had to go out of pocket for it. You learn that maybe some of your friends should not be in that league. But Roan, we see it all the time with commissioner issues, and I can't stress it enough that when it comes down to league payment, it's on the commissioner if they don't have everybody's entry fee and someone decides to ghost them.
Yeah, I had to collect 36 entry fees this year. All of them were collected except one. And it was one of my friends who said he was going to pay the second. I forgot to remind him. He might even be listening, but I know he's going to pay. If not, I know where he lives. But nah, he'll pay. But yeah, I mean,
Big Brother Adam Rodas over here.
And even the guy that I've talked about before that usually always pays me at the end, he actually paid on time this time. He usually is like, I'll pay you on Friday, and then it doesn't come, and then it's 4 months later. And he always winds up paying. That's why I don't really get upset. But you've seen my emails. I don't play around. Like,
no.
This is the date. This is the date. You get it in by then. And I always, too, I'm like, the draft order will be determined when everyone pays. Right. So don't hit me up about the draft order. Once everyone pays, then the draft order will be done. And anyone who's been in this league, now Fensty can't attest to this because he's never won money in my league, but the people who do win, they get it right away. Usually the next day or two. Just make sure the scoring, especially with football, no scoring changes, as long as it's not like a point victory, half a point, and then they'll get the money right away.
What about 2 points?
Yeah, I mean, wait it out just in case something crazy happens. I guess I don't wait till Thursday when the official scoring happens.
Yeah, man. I mean, a championship that I was in years ago got reversed, and I ended up winning on a Thursday stat correction.
Yeah,
of all things.
That kind of sucks.
You hope I won.
You hope it doesn't come down to that. If you're on the better end of that, it's great. But man, imagine thinking you won, you got the money, and then it changes. That's tough.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
And we've had some awesome comments, some awesome people in here so far. David, I wanted to address this. If you wanted to call in, we do have a winner. We do have a winner. But if you want to call in, it's in the app. So you got to go to the Bettor Sports app. And then you can click it. There's a button for fun. So you click fun, or there's a button for to call in. So that's where you go to do that. So that is on the app there. Secondly, one of my co-hosts on the Dynasty Nerd Show, Dynasty Matt, says, Garrett, is that the Bills colored nerd shirt you're wearing? And I'll show you guys right here. Dynasty Nerds gear. Something we did this year is we tried to get Dynasty Nerds shirts in just about every color. And I figured the Bills are playing tonight. This is a dope looking shirt. So I had to make sure that I donned the Bills colored shirt. So, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. You look good, you feel good, you play good. And that's how I roll. So real quick, we did have a winner, but for whatever reason, the call dropped. So they asked if you would be able back. whoever that was. The call dropped, so go ahead and call back because we did have a winner. We did have our 13th caller, so feel free to go back so that way we can get you your dope autographed item. And I'm excited to see what it was. It's an autographed jersey. I don't know who's on it, but any autographed jersey, sweet. I have a couple here. The one this would be to my, let's see, other side here. To my left, or your left, whatever. I'm terrible with direction, clearly. Jerry Rice, the GOAT, the greatest wide receiver of all time. And then we had on the other side, DJ Dallas. DJ Dallas is the other jersey. And I get it. You're like, you have Jerry Rice, who's, one of the greatest wide receivers, if not the greatest. He's the greatest. Better Boss over here saying Cooper Kupp. I mean, he is looking pretty good. He had one of the greatest seasons of all time. But yes, one of the greatest receivers of all time. But DJ Dallas has actually become a good friend of mine. So he signed this jersey, sent it back to me. It was really, really nice of him. We actually have our winner on. This is Loved IPZ. So we're going to bring him on real quick. Let's see. I think he is coming in.
Hello.
Loved, you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
How's it going, man?
It's good, man. How you doing? Great show tonight.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on. Where are you from?
Charlotte, North Carolina. Go Panthers.
Charlotte, North Carolina. So since I have you on here, how do you feel about Baker Mayfield as your new quarterback?
Ooh. I'm more optimistic than Sam Darnold, but I'm a 5 out of 10 on him. We'll see how the first game goes. We'll see how the revenge game goes.
Yes. I am a Browns fan. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. I am a Browns fan, and I miss Baker. I'm not gonna lie, I miss Baker. I'm happy for you guys, and there's even going to be a small part of me that is going to be cheering for you guys this week because I want to see Baker succeed. So happy for you guys. Hope he performs well in that Panthers blue.
Appreciate that. Yeah, look, he's got to do better than Darnold, and
yeah,
we just got to compete. We just got to compete, but we'll see. We'll see.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. You are our winner of a free jersey, and I'm being told that we can unveil the jersey right here on the call. I have no idea how to do that, but it's going to be fantastic, and you're going to love it. Game. Oh, here it is. Oh, look at this. Oh, Clinton Portis. Congratulations, man. You won a Clinton Portis jersey.
Thanks, man. That's and Broncos, I'll take that over. Didn't he play for the Skins for a bit?
He did, but his best days were definitely under Shanahan with the Broncos. So that's a pretty sweet thread there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. It's a big win.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you for watching the show, and we will be here every week, 10 to midnight. So hopefully you'll join us in the second half of these Thursday night football games.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. All right. Well, we had our first big winner on the show. Not going to lie, I am a little bit jealous because when I first started getting into fantasy football, this guy was awesome. I mean, he was crushing fantasy teams. And we know that like basically anybody in the Broncos uniform at that time was crushing for fantasy team, especially at the running back position. But Clinton Portis was awesome. Great player from the U, if I'm remembering correctly, from the U, but a great player, just like DJ Dallas over here. Keep doing it backwards. DJ Dallas is from the U. He's from the U. Love it. All right. So let's get back into some of this. One of the things that is really interesting about this season, we've had a lot of movement at the quarterback position. A lot of movement at the quarterback position. We just mentioned Baker Mayfield, formerly with the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy over this coming game, some of the comments that he made about the Browns. So it is going to be a big game. It's in Carolina versus being in Cleveland. So that might help like tamper it a little bit. But yeah, big game for him. The Browns obviously have a new quarterback. The Browns fans, including myself, and we're not going to get into all of the off the field stuff. It's a mess. It's a nightmare. As a Browns fan, it stresses me out. So we're not even going to see him until a little bit after the midpoint of the season. So we're not going to know about him. But one of the ones that I like the most, and it pairs up with this receiver that I was talking about earlier, really, really interested to see Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Dude has been an MVP. He's been to the Super Bowl. And I don't think he's washed. I know that there's a lot of people that believe that he is washed, but I don't think he is. I still think he's got some stuff left in the tank. Everything we've heard throughout the training camp, preseason, all of that has been that he is looking like his old self, that he is running that offense, which is what they really needed. Because as much as I still believe in Carson Wentz, I'm one of the few people that do still believe in Carson Wentz. But as much as I still believe in Carson Wentz, he's got this thing about him. We were talking about him on the Dynasty Nerds show the other night. He's got this thing about him to where people just don't like him. People just don't want to be around him. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know what it is about his personality, but he threw for 27 touchdowns last year, only 7 interceptions. Like, he can play. If it wasn't for that collapse against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the last game where the entire offense collapsed, it might be a very, very different story. But nonetheless, Matt Ryan on a new team, and I think he's the type of guy that they were looking for. He still has a few years left under his belt, but a former MVP, really accurate. Seems like he's jiving with all the players, and I think the Matt Ryan connection to Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be fantasy football gold this season. Absolute gold. So I'm really excited what that looks like. We did have a fumble. So the Rams have a hope and a prayer. But we'll have to see if they can do anything in these last 4 minutes or so to be able to come back. And it'll probably mean like 800 targets for Cooper Kupp is probably what that'll mean. But getting back to these quarterbacks, another guy that we were just mentioning, Carson Wentz, he is now on a new team as well. And this is probably his last real chance at being a starting quarterback. He's with the Washington Commanders, formerly the Washington Redskins, formerly the Washington football team, the Washington Commanders. And he is he's got this opportunity with Terry McLaurin, with Jahan Dotson, who I love Jahan Dotson. We might even have the ghost of Diami Brown come back after a pretty bad rookie season. So he's got a shot to prove something. If not, if he doesn't do it in the first few weeks, we might be looking at potentially Sam Howell, the 5th round pick out of North Carolina. We might be seeing some of him if he can't get it going within the first 5, 6, 7 weeks. So we'll have to wait and see. But while we're waiting, we have Dennis Bennett from Dynasty Nerds. So he is one of my homeboys. Dennis Bennett is coming on, and I'm excited to have him on here. Here's Dennis. I'm excited to have Mr. Culture Coach himself on here for several reasons. One, Dennis was really the first guy that got me into everything that I've been doing in the fantasy space. Obviously, Rich from Dynasty Nerds officially brought me on, but Dennis was instrumental in introducing me to people, getting things going. And then after that, he's also the guy that hooked us up with the Bettor Sports Network, which I am loving this. I'm loving this show. I'm loving this platform. So all of that was a big intro, Dennis. But Dennis, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing great. That Clinton Portis jersey would look great next to my Barry Sanders and my Archie Griffin there. But unfortunately, I couldn't get in on that deal. Now I'm having a great night. I talked with Rick Kamla in the 9 o'clock hour just to kind of say hi, welcome the nerds to the team. And, the first hour has been fantastic. I'm so proud of the work that you've done. You shouldn't give me credit. You did you. All I did was say hello. That's all I did.
Wow.
So,
it was super helpful. It was super helpful. Before we get into it, because I have tons of questions for you, Dennis. I heard that we have the Rams fumble recovery here on ready to show. Are we going to show this live? Let's go ahead and show that.
Allen taking the play clock all the way down inside of 5 before he received the snap. He's under center in the I formation with a fullback who leads the tailback over the left side. Taylor Rapp digs that football out. The Rams think they've taken it back again. Rapp with a physical play on the ball carrier. Still no signal from our officiating crew. Rapp says Rams football, and our referee, Carl Sheffers, agrees.
All right. Well, that was the Rams radio network there with the call. Their last-ditch effort, their last little bit of glimmer of hope in this opening night. So appreciate you guys getting that up and ready to go. Now, Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are not only a fan of the Browns, but even more so, you are a fan of the Detroit Lions. Is that correct?
I was born in Michigan. I lived there till I was in my late teens. I watched the Lions play with my grandfather on Sundays ever since I was a little kid. Well, I have the Barry Sanders jersey. I'm old enough that number 20 of the Detroit Lions to me is Hall of Fame cornerback Lem Barney, the pride of Jackson State. So I'm a lifelong Lions fan. When I moved to Ohio, I adopted the Browns. And like I tell people, I know losing.
Yeah, you've really outdone yourself on picking two of the most historically bad franchises when it comes to wins and losses. So I will probably never take you to Vegas with me, Dennis. I'm just
the first team with a winless season and the second team with a winless season. Well, we got it out of our system early, I guess.
Yeah. There we go. We'll go with that. So, what were your thoughts? I don't know how much of this you got to watch or not watch. Did you watch Hard Knocks this year?
I did not watch Hard Knocks.
Oh, okay.
That would be the only thing I watch on HBO. And
sure.
I just,
you don't do the new email every year for the 1 free month and, just binge that real quick.
I've got a kid getting ready to audition for the Ohio State School of Music, and another one trying to make travel baseball teams. And so and then I got to watch. So then what I do watch, if it's not football, actual games, is I watch what my wife wants to watch. Because we've hit, as of today, for the next 4 months, I watch a lot of football.
Right.
So the other 8 months of the year, I kind of try to make up for it. So I've watched
do the same thing as well.
Much Below Deck Mediterranean, you would not even be able to relate. Well, maybe you would, but
I would. Only for me, it's a lot of cooking shows. Chopped, not Hell's Kitchen. I don't know. There are a lot of cooking shows. She loves Naked and Afraid. Naked and Afraid is on a lot. She enjoys that one. And then it's a lot of the 90 Day Fiance. And it's tough. It's tough out there. But as far as the fantasy football stuff goes, it's worth it, and she enjoys it. So
you got to make sacrifices, they'll make sacrifices.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get back into some fantasy talk. Dennis, give me the guy this year from the rookie class. We had a rookie out there tonight, and James Cook. Obviously, it wasn't a great game for him tonight. But give me the rookie this year that you think is going to have the most value by the end of the year. The guy that we're going to say, man, that guy was the fantasy football rookie of the year.
So if I'm looking just for this 1 year, running backs, they tend to produce early. And it's hard not to go with Dameon Pierce or Breece Hall because they're going to get the opportunity. I don't think Pacheco is going to get as much opportunity. It's put up or shut up time for CEH, and he's playing. He's trying to get the 5th-year option picked up and get a new contract, but I don't think that's going to happen. But he's going to give it his all. So I think Pacheco, he's behind McKinnon, and they have Ronald Jones, who may or may not be able to do some of the things Pacheco can do. But Breece Hall, I think, is going to get a good opportunity to handle 60% of the work, maybe not in week 1, but over the course of the season. And I feel like before Dwayne Brown got injured, the weapons in New York were better, and they were going to have a more balanced offense. But now with Brown getting dinged up, they've lost Becton. Wilson is out, so maybe that's good for the receivers. Maybe it'll lead to a more balanced offense. But in Houston, they don't have anything to lose. And Dameon Pierce basically went into the preseason and said, I'm going for it. I know there's people here that they like, but I'm going for it. And he left it all on the table, and he won the job. Now, I have concerns about Pierce because he never really owned the job at Florida. He never had a season with high volume. So does that mean he can't do it? No. But as a 4th-round pick, in the last 10 years, there have been, I think, when I did the math, went through, I think there have been 39 4th-round picks in the last 10 years, and 4% of them have put up a RB1 season.
Yeah, not good odds. Who was that? Wasn't Aaron Jones, because Aaron Jones was a 5th round.
Yes, I don't remember who it was. I don't have my stuff pulled up.
Yeah, you're good.
Because I did a tweet about Pierce for the Dynasty Nerds news desk, and someone came and argued with me as if they were Dameon Pierce's parents.
They might have been.
Because I did the hashtag 2 to 3 year window, and they're like, "You're crazy," and I'm like, the odds say I'm not. I'm not saying he won't have a good season. I'm saying if you drafted him and he has a good season, trade him. Maybe he'll be the next Arian Foster, but more likely he's going to be the next James Robinson.
I mean, James Robinson, let's not write him off as dead yet. Two good seasons, and I know he had the Achilles injury, but he's supposedly ready to go for week 1.
Yeah, so was Cam Akers.
Yeah, well, James Robinson's better. We'll say Phillip Lindsay.